Alright guys, a little bit of a different video for you. I'm filming from this angle today, which is a little bit different. I normally don't film this way just because I don't like what's behind me. So I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. When you got a lot of projects going on and you're constantly working on stuff, your garage ends up just being a mess. Or your workshop or whatever. Like, I got all kinds of projects. We got the Halloween project, we got gardening projects, we got watermelons, we got transmission torn apart, all kinds of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this thing today and I'm going to reorganize it. I think I'm going to do a whole refresh on the garage. Try to like maybe get rid of that cabinet. This big wooden shelf I think I'm going to get rid of. What I would like to do is actually move this big rack over to this area here and get rid of some of this stuff. That way I can put the engine and some of the big tools underneath it. And then I'd like to maybe move this toolbox back over to this area and set up like a little welding table section. So I have the welders and stuff over here. I always have to pull my welding table out into the middle. So I'd like to maybe keep something that I can just keep there and I don't have to move it around all the time. And there's a lot of wasted space in this rack and underneath the rack and just junk like all on here. I'd like to organize some of this stuff. I'm really good at using like horizontal space, so my wife brought this out to process some tomatoes from the garden, and then I ended up just taking over the whole thing. So one of the things on my mind too with doing this is I would like to get 2 vehicles in the garage that I can actually work on comfortably. Starting December 1st, where we live, we can't park on the road, so right now I have 2 vehicles in the driveway and 2 vehicles on the road. So it's always like a winter prep thing for me to try to figure out how I can get vehicles in the garage comfortably. It's usually not a huge deal to be able to work on one and park one. Like just push one all the way over here and then put one here because we have this big open section here. But you can see it's all filled up with stuff. We got some tools, stuff from the Ranger, transmission parts, drive shaft, transfer case, all kinds of stuff. So it eats up a lot of space over here. So part of the idea with moving this rack is to take all of this stuff and move some of it up to here so I can open up this whole wall and then be able to scoot the vehicle over farther and work on both sides. And then I want to clear out most of this wall over here too. I always like to keep wood and stuff stacked up this way so I can probably push that stuff flatter against the wall. But I don't know, you guys know if you're watching for a while, I'm like always working on stuff and I don't really focus on cleaning, which I should probably do once in a while. I usually do it like at the end of a project. I'll kind of just go through and clean everything. The Ranger's not running right now, but I'm not really focused on that. Escalade's running. Everything is like kind of running. I don't really have an active project that I'm working on, and then the transmission for the Ranger isn't really a huge deal. But I'm also starting to itch right now with playing with the Escalade. And it's like running out of fuel. I'm already starting to itch with like upgrading fuel system and doing other upgrades and stuff. You see we got the Duramax intercooler. I did find a guy that has a radiator for 80 bucks. That's like an hour away. So I'm probably gonna start working on the intercooler radiator and changing the cold side and then changing fuel. And in the next month or 2, I would like to put a 4L80 in it. So before I start another big project like that, I think the plan is clean this stuff, get the 4L80 back in the Ranger, get that thing running and driving, and then start working on the Escalade more. So probably a long intro. I'm going to start thrashing on this, and then I'll come back and we'll see what it looks like later. So I guess overall, it's just really getting to the point where I'm not happy working in this area. And if you don't like the workspace, you don't like the area that you're working in, you're going to be like miserable and crabby and not enjoy doing what you're doing. It's just time to do something about it. Set the projects aside for a little bit. Focus on the workshop. If you're happy with the workshop, you can be a little bit happier with the projects, I feel. So let's do that. Okay, so we got some progress on this section over here. It doesn't really look like a whole lot, but got the TV cart with all the metal out of there, and moved the engine and everything over here. So I'm kind of breaking everything down into piles. This stuff is going to be the cell pile. This is the keep metal scrap pile. Doesn't really look like it got much smaller. But this is the get rid of metal scrap pile. So there's the TV cart. I thought about trying to maybe reuse it and make a welding table out of it or something, like a welding cart, put the welders and the plasma cutter on it, but it's kind of big to move around all as one piece. So I wanted to just still have the convenience of the individual rolling carts in case you got to get between vehicles or something. And this has a hole in the top of it because I put a lawnmower engine on it. And I was playing around years ago experimenting with hydrogen stuff. So I was running the lawnmower engine on hydrogen, and then I made like an oil gasifier, and I was running the engine on used motor oil. So that was just like a play thing I was doing. So all this stuff I'm going to get rid of, take it to the junkyard, get some money back for it. And this wooden rack is actually an old speaker box. It was double the height because it was in the bed of a truck, and it was basically, it had 612s in it. And it was in the bed of a Nissan hardbody. So I just chopped the top off of it and I made it, set it up for 312s. And then when I ripped it all out of there, or actually no, this was the top section. So I cut it in half, and then this was the top section when I converted it to 312s. All right, here's the box, driver's side port, just the 312s. So here you can see where the wires were coming through for the subs. So I just had it here, and then I decided to make a shelf out of it, but now I'm gonna get rid of it because I don't really need it anymore. All right, so still working. We got quite a bit done. Got the trick-or-treat punch-out board all in the garage now after it's been demolished. We do have about 50 holes left over. So it's just a little punch-out thing if you guys didn't see it. We got about 50 holes left over, but the kids really liked it. So next on the list is I'm going to take this rack system. I took all the stuff that was on the rack and got rid of it, put it on the floor for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten this rack up. So I ended up getting some 48-inch sections here. These are 6-foot sections, but the 48-inch section should go right to the edge of the window, and then I'll be able to have a little bit more room to pull the vehicle in, because we're kind of battling length versus width here. So if I pull the vehicle in and it's past the rack, then it would basically be lined up with the center of the garage, and I don't want that because it would push the next vehicle over too far. So I'm going to shorten this thing. I like the depth because it's enough that the whole engine and everything fits underneath it. So I'm going to take these out, add these. I did get the little wood inserts. I had the little basket insert on there. I thought originally that I was going to like that. My original thought was that it'll be nice because you won't end up accumulating a bunch of small stuff on the racking, but then all the stuff that I had on there was falling through it, and like the hoses and stuff fall through or leak through, and then it's hard to like get stuff on and off. If you want to slide it off, you got to lift everything up. So I'm gonna do the wood. They're like $5 a piece, so that's not too bad. I'm gonna keep on ripping. All right, we're gonna see how heavy we are. 62. 6140, 6160. All right, green light. We got the green light, 6140. What do you think of that, Theo? What do you think of that thing? Is that pretty cool?
Yeah, it is.
Well,
No, what is that? What is that? An engine?
no, that was a refrigerator.
Another refrigerator?
Two more refrigerators. All right, going back across. 5580. 5600. 5580. Come on, 5580. All right, so here's what we got. $80 a ton, 560 pounds. So I got $22. $22. Sheet iron and white goods. So it wasn't like sorted or anything. So I think you get a little bit more if it's all sorted, nice clean stuff. But just throw it in a pile like that. It's cheap, so you don't get very much back, but $22. So it's kind of a lot if you think about it, considering that was just what was sitting in a rack in my garage, not being used or stuff I could part with. So 560 pounds of junk out, and feeling a little bit lighter, literally. All right, guys, so we're making some progress. So it's been a couple days. I think this is my third day out here. Went to the junkyard, as you saw. This way is like kind of halfway decent over here, but not over here yet. Next stop is going to be doing the workbench area. But as far as the rest of it goes, I did, just like I said, shorten that thing. I was able to get the engine and everything under there pretty decent. This is like a box of pistons and Gen 4 rods. And I just have like the extra intakes and stuff that I want to keep up there. My gas cans. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with all the scrap. So this is what I kept out of my whole pile. So I had 560 pounds of other stuff that I did scrap, and this is what I'm keeping. I'm probably going to do like Rubbermaid totes or something for all the rubber hoses. That's all rubber hoses and like fuel lines and radiator hoses. And these are all AN lines and elbows, like intercooler elbows and stuff and clamps. So I'll probably do totes for those. I'm debating if I'm going to keep this rack. I was going to get rid of it, but I might keep this rack and actually use it for the metal stuff. We'll see. I kind of wanted to not cover up the window. So we'll see where that ends up going. But if I go all the way back into the garage, we got pretty well organized. A lot of this stuff over here is stuff that my wife is going to be moving over the next couple days. We're still processing stuff from the garden yet, so we got a bunch of zucchinis and watermelon, and we still got some tomatoes and a lot of stuff. So we got the pot and the propane tank out here. This stuff's just going to go back in the truck, and then I'm probably just going to burn this. Cut it up and burn that thing. But over here, it's a little bit better. Got the yard tools. The CDO1 transmission. This was from the Nissan 350Z. I think I'm going to do a teardown video on this thing. Let me know what you guys think about that. I'm probably going to do it either way, no matter what you say. So it has 3 gears that are bad in it, so I thought it'd be interesting to go through it, do a teardown, and just check it out, because it's probably going to be bad on the inside of it, and I have no use for it, and I can't really find gears very easily for this stuff, so I'm not going to rebuild it. These are all Ranger parts, so most of the stuff's going to be gone when the Ranger goes back together. Transmission, the drive shafts, transfer case, all that stuff's going to be gone when I put the Ranger back together. Added a little can crusher, so that's cool. We put it kind of low because my son wants to do it. And I've had the thing for a long time. I just never put it up yet. I didn't have a stud finder, so I bought a stud finder. This bad boy right here, Amazon, was like 20 bucks. Bought that yesterday and got her set up. And I can't remember if I really talked about the welding setup yet. So I did put the table here, have my designated area, but I also did run my cable against the wall here and then back. And then there's like a breaker box down there. So that's where my outlet is, and then I just have it covered up so kids can't really mess with it and stuff because the toolbox is in the way. So overall, I'm much happier with the way that everything is looking now. I mean, I feel like I have half the garage back. I have like double the space, especially once this area is cleaned up, but that should be in the next couple days when the gardening stuff is all done. And like I said, next spot is going to be this. So while I was cleaning, I ended up just chucking a bunch of stuff on there. I normally have this thing kind of messy anyways, but I did throw a lot of extra stuff on there. So the way I'm going to clean this is basically I'm going to take every single thing that's on it and then put it in the middle of the floor, just like I cleaned everything else. I'm going to take everything, pull it off, throw it in the middle of the floor, clean off the workbench, and then I'm going to reassemble it all exactly how I want it, and whatever doesn't make it back on is going to go in the garbage or somewhere else. So that should be good. I might take a little bit more time to set stuff up differently how I want it, because I want to have like my bench vise and my drill press and maybe a couple other like bench top tools set in specific spots, and then I want to fix some other stuff. So I do have like wire that I bought and electrical boxes and outlets and stuff buried in there, because what I wanted to do, I wanted to put outlets either underneath on the bottom side, so like put a little outlet on here where you can put the plug up, so like if I do have something on the bench top, I can just plug it in from the bottom, or right in the front of this, so I can basically run like power from that outlet and distribute it throughout the workbench, because it is kind of annoying. I only have this outlet over here, so I plug a lot of stuff into that outlet and then kind of drag it out to the rest of the garage. And there's one on the side there, and there's one on the side here. So depending what I'm doing, I'm like unplugging a lot and moving stuff around a lot. I'm kind of fighting with that. So I thought it'd be cool to actually just have outlets built in where the workstation is. That'd be nice, right? Or you could hardwire it to that outlet and then just have stuff kind of permanently plugged in, and you could just flip it on, turn it on. I also set up the compressor, so the compressor's on a switch. So like if that's on, I just set up this little power strip up here, which also runs the light. So it's kind of nice to have this work light area when I don't have it so messy. Benchtop with a light. But I have like a charger up there for my other light and the radio and stuff, so I just put the little power strip up there. Probably clean that up a little bit. Like I said, I always have a lot of stuff laying around, if you guys haven't noticed that. So, like this hose, I bought it, never installed it. Like the stuff for the outlets, I bought it, never installed it. So I might start doing some of that stuff where this thing could actually hang somewhere, like from the ceiling or something. Be cool to maybe put it like in the middle, and you know, I can just run a permanent line from the compressor up and over, and then I have the hose anywhere in the whole garage. So I think I might just start plucking away at some of that other stuff that I want to do but never really did. And I also have some parts coming for the Escalade. So we're going to redo the fuel system already. So have some ideas and some upgrades. Some of it is just stuff I want to test, but some of it is upgrade. So we'll do that. That should be fun. I just learned over the years that I really like going more with the fuel system and using less of it than like it's set up right now with the factory non-return style, and it's going through the factory regulator in the basket. I feel like that's really limiting a lot of the flow. So I don't really like to be on that edge where it's going lean all the time and there's not fuel. Like with the Mustang, I loved it because I could throw pretty much anything at it that I wanted to, and I had a lot of overhead for fuel. Like when it ran the 8-second pass, it had a fuel leak and I still had enough fuel. So that's kind of cool. I kind of would like to get it there. So we're gonna do some stuff. Slowly upgrade, but upgrade. If you made it this far in the video, let me know you made it this far. I'd be curious to see, because it's kind of a long one and it's kind of boring. It's just kind of shop stuff, but hopefully, I mean, some of you guys are probably going through a lot of the same stuff and have the same thought process. So I know there's a bunch of you guys who will be here till the end, so let me know who you are, and I'm gonna go ahead and edit this thing. It's been like 3 days in the making, so have a good one.